I can't believe I'm saying this, but it was 41 years ago this month that Van Halen released their masterpiece, 1984. It was January 9th, 1984, that this album came out. And I remember being a young kid at the time. I was, what, 14, 15 years old. Um, Hearing this buzz about the newest Van Halen album, that they're incorporating or they're using synthesizers. And at that time, like I mentioned in other reviews, that when you were a rock band, you stuck to your drums, guitar, bass, you know, you stuck to the basics. You don't overreach, you don't jump on another genre, you stick to what you do. It hurt Kiss when they did disco, it hurt Rod Stewart when he did disco. Rush got hurt when they used synthesizers. A lot of bands, Judas Priest with Turbo, a lot of bands suffered a lot of backlash and a lot of heat at that time with the fan base because of the use of synths. But Van Halen always dabbled in it. They used it more underneath the guitars and use it for texture. But this one we heard that it's in the forefront. So I heard in the beginning, I remember in the beginning some fans were saying it's over, it's done. And I said, well, let's hear the songs first. Let's, because I'm one of those geeky guys that I like Turbo from Judas Priest. I think it's part of that era, and it works for me. I like it. It's cheesy, but it works. So I was waiting for it, and Jump came out, and it was infectious. The first time you heard it, you said, "This is gonna blow the roof. They're gonna transcend the rock fan base and go into pop, and they're gonna get a whole new audience," and they did. This album sold 10 million units in the States alone, so it's diamond certification. It went number two on the Billboard charts. It was blocked off by Michael Jackson's Thriller, so not a bad album to be number two against, right? The biggest album of all time. But this was a different sounding album. This was a band at their instrumental peak in a way. They cast aside their doubts and went full fledged into it. The intro 1984 sounds like something out of an Asia album or an ELO album. When you first put that, you go like, "What? What's happening here?" And then it kind of reminded me of, like I said, this is like a science fiction movie intro or something, or that ELO did or Asia did. Didn't sound like Van Halen at first. Took a while, but I warmed up to it. Jump, instantly infectious. Panama is another great one. Hot for Teacher was another big hit. I'll Wait is a great little, I'm going to say it's the closest thing to a ballad on this album. I like that you can, when I first heard it, I said, this sounds like something Michael McDonald could do. And he was uncredited for many years, but Michael McDonald did co-write or supplied some lyrics for this song. A lot of songs got, overshadowed. You have Top Jimmy, which I really love. Drop Dead Legs, I've learned to really like. Girl Gone Bad is another one. House of Pain is a great album closer. It's different. It got overshadowed by Jump and Panama and Hot for Teacher, because those things were just all over the video waves and the radios. There was no way you could not hear this album at that time. This was one of the greatest albums ever, in my opinion. I love this album to this day. Of course, you had Ted Templeman and engineer Don Lundy on here, who are masters at their craft. Let these guys, David Lee Roth is the top form. His shtick, his showmanship is there. His, verbal attack. You know, you know, Panama would, ease the seat back, reach down between my legs. Everybody knows that part. Every guy sings that part, and everybody dreams about being in a car doing that kind of thing, and says that it has said it once in their life. The playing is phenomenal. It's a band. A lot of people are going to say at their artistic and commercial apex. Commercial, maybe. Artistic, that's your point of view. Some people still don't like the synthesizer on a Van Halen album, but whatever. I'm going to say this is arguably one of the strongest albums in the Van Halen catalog for sure. Down part of it, would they have ever matched it if David Lee Roth stayed? I'm not sure they could. I think this is where they hit their plateau. This is the perfect album of that time. And I think Journey, Foreigner, any band dreamed of making an album this good. And these guys did it. Because everybody thought Foreigner would be the band that's going to have rock, pop, and make them. And Foreigner 4 is close. It's close. But this, I think, would have to say is one of the greatest pop rock albums ever. Ever. For me. I can put this on every day and it's a greatest hits package. For me, there's not one bad track on here. Maybe House of Pain is not as strong as the other tracks, but it's still a good song. And it showed, Top Jimmy, Drop Dead Legs, Girl Gone Bad, and House of Pain showed the old school Van Halen. So there was enough for everybody. There was the synthesizer pop catchy stuff for the MTV generation with Panama, Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait and Jump. But you also had, like I said, Top Jimmy, Drop Dead Legs. Drop Dead Legs is a hybrid of AC/DC meeting Aerosmith. Great track. Girl Gone Bad is really good. It's nasty. It's an old school dirty, and House of Pain too. These are dirty rockers. Dirty rockers. And that's what I appreciate about it. There was so if you were into Van Halen 1, 2, Women and Children first, there's songs for you to like on here and be comfortable and then learn to like the other ones. So there wasn't just like we're just abandoning what we're doing. They stuck to their front. They just brought it up to a different level and they incorporated these synthesizers. But they just didn't do it because it was the thing to do because everybody else was. They used it to their. It still sounded like bombastic rock pop Van Halen. There was no doubt who this was when you first heard it. Because I remember my parents, they heard Jump, and I said, oh my God, they'll never know what it is. My parents were, oh, isn't that Van Halen? What? You know this? But I got my parents to let me get a Van Halen album before. Like, oh my God, the long hair, the leather pants. I'm like, what are you doing? This is like, satanic. What are you talking about? So I said, the guys that did Jump, I'm going to pick up that album. And that person, oh, okay. It's a cute, it's catchy, So it got me to bring home my first Van Halen record, So there's a lot of good memories for me. And again, like I said, this is still a great album. And I think it's one of the best albums of their catalog. I don't think, even with Sammy Hagar, maybe 5150 is a good album. I'm not sure if they ever matched the wow factor of 1984. I think this is the band at its apex. I might have to agree with some of the people saying commercial and artistic. Yeah, maybe. But again, like I said, Sammy Hagar, you can't compare it because it's a different beast. But 5150 is a great album. And the only thing is, we'll never know what the follow-up would have been. Could they have matched this? Who knows? Because what do you do when you create one of your best albums of your career? If not the best album of your career. So a lot of good memories. Happy anniversary. Thank you for the memories. And rest in peace, Mr. Van Halen. But you live on here. For me, just a lot of joy. I'm always going to love this album. Say what you will, the Van Halen enthusiasts that say, it's not Van Halen because of synthesizers. They used it before. It's just now it's in the forefront. But I think one of the greatest albums, rock pop albums of my time. And I'm looking forward to seeing more anniversary editions, because this album deserves every single salute you can think of, because it is just a great album from a great band. And happy anniversary, Van Halen, for your giving us this masterpiece and making me having a fantastic childhood, thinking I was Diamond Dave flying across the screen as well. And I jumped everywhere off the couch when I heard Jump. And thank you so much. I enjoyed this. I still do. This is one of the reasons why I do what I do when I do these videos. It's because this is one of the albums that got me to love music. And hopefully it gets you to love it too. So give this a spin. If you never heard of this album, you owe it to yourself to do it and listen to it. Go to Spotify, whatever streaming service you have, give it a listen. You will not be disappointed. This is one of the masterpieces of our time. And enjoy. See you soon, guys.